This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
And here we are, everyone. Welcome. Saturday, January 11th, 2025. Wow. Let's make today a great day. How do you make your day great? It is simple. You look to the good and you appreciate the good, and then perpetuate the good. Move that good forward by sharing it with other people and making their lives better. If you can't find anything that's good, create some good of your own. There are billions of ways to do that. Call a friend, help a neighbor, write a nice letter to someone, donate your time, write a card to someone you don't know in a senior center or a nursing home and just say, I appreciate you. Help somebody shovel their snow. There's a million nice things you can do. Buy someone flowers. Tell someone you love them. Tell someone you're sorry. Tell someone you appreciate them. There's a million ways to make good. Make good, perpetuate good, send that good forward. Remember, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts, always, than we ever gave. All right, my friends, welcome to the Dr. Sem Yankees show. Again, like last week, this will be more of a general baseball show. I am away today. I'm recording this way early in the week. So some Yankee things might have happened between when I recorded this on Monday and when it's actually showing here on Saturday. In fact, the biggest news is that the Yankees seem to be in hot pursuit of Luis Arraez. Wow. The Yankees need a leadoff hitter. Arraez would be a leadoff hitter. The Yankees need a second baseman. If Jazz Chisholm's going to play third, I prefer him to play second. But if Jazz Chisholm is going to play third, well, then the Yankees need a second baseman. Another left-handed bat in the lineup wouldn't be the worst thing. And my goodness, my friends, Luis Arraez can hit. He is a 3-time All-Star. He has won 3 batting titles. He has won 2 Silver Slugger Awards. Let's just go down his career these last numbers of years here. In 2024, for 2 teams, he batted .314. In 2023, he batted .354. In 2022, he batted .316. In 2021, he had his career low of .294. In 2020, a shortened season, of course, he hit .321. And in his rookie year, 2019, playing in 92 games, he hit .334. The guy can hit. Now, his WAR numbers, interestingly, are not all that great. For example, even though he hit 314 last year, he was worth only one win. His best year was 2023 when he hit a remarkable 354, and then he was worth 4.9 wins. The year before, when he hit 316, he was worth 4.2 wins. And the year before that, when he hit 294, he was worth 3.4 wins. Now, he doesn't steal bases. He's not the type of leadoff hitter who's going to get on and steal bases. Last year, he set his career high in stolen bases by miles. He stole 9. His previous career high was 4. He doesn't necessarily walk a ton. For 2 teams last year, he walked only 24 times. His career high in walks is 50. Not great. He has never had a 400 on base percentage. The guy can hit. The guy is a base hit machine. He led baseball, or the league last year with 200 hits. It's in bold here on Baseball Reference. So I guess he led the National League in hits with 200. That was his second consecutive 200 hit season. The year before, he had 203 hits. He gets a fair amount of doubles. In 2020, he had 30, and last year he had 32. There's a lot to be intrigued about with Luis Arraez. I think at the end, if the Yankees acquire him without giving up a whole lot of talent in a trade, I think I'm willing to suspend my concerns and say, all right, the Yankees got themselves a good hitter, a sometimes great hitter, a guy who could be the batting champ to hit in front of Aaron Judge. There's a lot to like there. The concern is there's also a lot to dislike. I don't believe he's a great base runner. I just mentioned he doesn't really steal bases. And from all accounts, his defense is atrocious. His D-WAR numbers last year for San Diego, -1. For Miami, it was a negative 0.2. So overall, negative 1.2. For Miami, the year before, it was positive at 0.6. The year before with Minnesota, it was 0.0. The year before with Minnesota, it was 1.2. He has played in the course of his career second base, left field, third base, shortstop, second base, third base, second base, left field, DH, first base, second base. He's been all over the place. And the reason I think they move him all over the place is he's not a good defensive ball player. One of the things I've really liked about this Yankee off season is the fact that they have done a great job making the team extremely adept defensively. Paul Goldschmidt, Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm if he plays second base, Judge going back to right field, Cody Bellinger in center field. I think Jason Dominguez will be a fine fielder in left field. This is why I want them to get a quality third baseman. And then all of a sudden you've got a plus defender at every spot on the diamond. And that leads to more outs, obviously. Moving Jazz Chisholm to third, where I don't think he's great defensively, so that you can get Luis Arraez to play second base, who's, as I understand, atrocious defensively. I'm not sure if you're giving up as much as you're getting with his defense as compared to what he's going to bring with the bat. I just don't know. It's exciting. Again, I get excited when the Yankees make deals. And so if over the course of this week, before this airs on Saturday, the Yankees acquire Luis Arraez, again, I think I'm going to suspend disbelief and believe it's a good thing. I'm in a trusting mood with the Yankees right now. I like that they're making deals. I like that they're going for it. I like that they're filling the holes on the team. And so Arraez, I don't think would be my first choice or second choice or third choice. My first choice would be Nolan Arenado. He's only signed for a couple more years. Stick him at third. That gets Jazz Chisholm to second. And now you've got a great infield defense. And you have a lot of professional, quality baseball players, hitters. Arenado's a quality hitter. Not great anymore, but he's a quality hitter. Goldschmidt, not great anymore, but a quality hitter. And that really looks like a solid team. Cody Bellinger's a solid hitter. Aaron Judge is a great hitter. Jazz Chisholm's a solid hitter. Jason Dominguez should be a solid hitter. You hope Anthony Volpe becomes a solid hitter. You hope Giancarlo Stanton turns back the clock a little bit. He's always a over 100 OPS plus, so he's an above average hitter. You hope that Austin Wells will be an above average hitter. And all of a sudden you look up and down the lineup and you say, it's a quality team, great defense, solid hitters, some power. The great Aaron Judge. I like it. I like it a lot. If I can't get Arenado, if I'm the Yankees, I'd get Alex Bregman. I've written a lot on Start Spreading the News about how it's time to just forget about the fact that the Astros cheated. If Alex Bregman can help you win, bring him in, baby. It's time for the Yankees to bring in and win. I mean, they brought in Roger Clemens. At that point, he was one of the most hated opponents who the Yankees played against. They brought in Wade Boggs. People didn't like Wade Boggs. Now, granted, they didn't do cheating. But again, in 1951, the New York Giants cheated. That's widely accepted as a fact. And one member of that team was, I don't know, Willie Mays? Now, if this was 3 years or 4 years or 5 years later and the Giants had done that to well, they did it to the Dodgers. And if I ran the Dodgers and somebody gave me the opportunity to get Willie Mays, would I not get him because he was part of a cheating scandal a number of years before on a team that cheated? That'd be crazy. Why would you not get Willie Mays? Now, Alex Bregman is not Willie Mays, but the illustration serves a point. Let's move on. If Alex Bregman can help the Yankees win, let's get him here. Besides the cheating scandal, I've never heard anything negative about Alex Bregman. I hear he's extremely professional. I hear he cares about winning. I hear he's a good guy in the clubhouse. Now, I don't know. I'm not there, but I don't want negative influences on the team. And I probably would have been against Alex Bregman a number of years ago because that cheating scandal was so raw, but I think it's time for the Yankees to move on. So this should be exciting. Next week, when I'm back, hopefully we have a number of deals to talk about. So I'd prefer Arenado. I'd prefer Bregman. Not excited necessarily about Luis Ariz, but on the other hand, when you can get a guy who can lead the league in hitting, oh boy. Maybe the Yankees can work with him. Maybe Willie Randolph can spend extended time with him in spring training and help him be a great fielder. Who knows? Now, last week on this show, we were reviewing and just reminiscing about so many of the Major League Baseball players who passed away in 2024. So I don't want to give anybody short shrift. They all deserve to be mentioned. We left off with Don Gullett. A couple of great Mets, as I'm looking at the list, also passed away. Jerry Grody and Bud Harrelson, both part of my childhood. I had a lot of their baseball cards and a lot of pictures of them. Oh, actually, we talked a little about Ken Holtzman as well, who was a better pitcher than he ever got credit for with the Yankees. Another great Met who passed away in 2024 was Eddie Kranepool. I remember the first time I ever went to Shea Stadium, 1979. Eddie Kranepool came out of the dugout to pinch hit late in the game. A game the Mets won against the Dodgers. John Stearns had a big hit, as I recall. Maybe the game winner in the 10th inning. Anyway, I remember Ed Kranepool coming out of the dugout and the crowd just, how big of a crowd could it have been? But I was 11, so it seemed probably much bigger than it was, and the whole atmosphere. I'd been to Yankee Stadium numerous times before then as a Yankee fan, but For my birthday that year, my dad said, let's go to a Mets game. Let's let you see another Major League Baseball stadium. So we went to a Mets-Dodgers game, which was great. And I remember Eddie Kranepool getting just a huge hand. It was really nice. Rudy May passed away. Rudy May, of course, was a Yankee in 2 different occasions. And in 1980, Rudy May led the American League in earned run average. Rudy May was a better pitcher than people remember. Of course, the great Willie Mays. Oh, my. I mean, baseball lost an icon in Willie Mays. A lot of people consider Willie Mays the greatest baseball player who ever lived. And again, I love Willie Mays on my team. A high character guy, a great person, an ambassador to the game. He could hit, he could run, he could throw, he could catch, he could hit for power, he could hit for average. There was nothing on a baseball field that Willie Mays couldn't do. Old number 24. You have to imagine, like, the baseball players in heaven now. Like, they're all there. All the greats. Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Christy Mathewson, Walter Johnson, Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra. Amazing the amount of great players that we've had the good fortune as baseball fans to sometimes see, but to read about and learn about and hear about. And there's an old saying that as long as people mention your name, you'll never be forgotten. And your memory and your life in some way continues to shine on the earth. And boy, those guys, their names will be talked about as long as there's baseball for centuries. It allows their names and their lives to still be relevant in some way. I mean, Willie Mays, the great Willie Mays. Going down the list, let's see. I remember Ed Ott. I didn't know Ed Ott had passed away. As I recall, he was a member of the 1979 Pirates. Pete Rose, what a controversial figure. I mean, it's amazing in my life. We talk a lot about the Hall of Fame here. When I was a kid growing up, there was no doubt that Pete Rose was a Hall of Famer. Now, his off-the-field gambling and situations, that ruined that opportunity for him. But in one sense, it's amazing, and I'm not making an argument that he should go in the Hall of Fame. I'm just saying it's an amazing situation when a guy like Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame, when I spent my whole childhood believing that there was no question. Steve Garvey is another player that if you asked a kid in 1980 or 1982, is Steve Garvey going in the Hall of Fame? The answer would have been, of course he is. He's great. He plays every game. He has clutch hits all the time. He always never makes an error. He always has big hits. He hits 20 home runs. He drives in 100 runs. He hits 300 every year. Of course he's a Hall of Famer. Dale Murphy, MVP 2 consecutive years. Is he a Hall of Famer? Of course he's a Hall of Famer. It's interesting the way that works over time. As we remember other people who passed away, here's an interesting one too. A guy who should be in the Hall of Fame as well, Luis Tiant. I'm going to pull up Tiant's numbers real quickly here because there's a couple things about Luis Tiant that I believe most people don't realize how good Tiant was. He had a lot of mediocre years, but he had a couple of great years. Very few pitchers, especially in the modern era, he might be the only one, ever have an ERA under 2. In 1968, Luis Tiant's ERA was 1.60. That led the league. He also had 8.5 WAR to lead the league. They didn't have that statistic back then. He went 21-9 that year. And that's amazing. But everybody knows 1968 was the year of the pitcher. What's amazing is that in 1972, for the Red Sox. He pitched to a 15-6 record and again had an ERA under 2. In 1972, the great Luis Tiant's ERA was 1.91. Now, he finished his career with the Angels, and before that, the Pirates. And before that, he spent 2 years with the Yankees. In 1979, he went 13-8. And then in 1980, he went 8-9. The great Luis Tiant. Some other players to remember. Here's another great player, Fernando Valenzuela. I remember 1981 and Dave Righetti coming on the scene and being such a great pitcher for the Yankees. And I remember hearing and watching on This Week in Baseball about Fernando Mania in Los Angeles. Fernando was bigger than the game. He was huge. And he was a Mexican who brought a lot of Mexican fans into baseball. You know, great players can do that. And Fernando was also a great ambassador for the game. Seems much too young that Fernando Valenzuela has passed on. The same is true for Ricky Henderson, who is only a couple of years older than me. You start to see these guys and you say, uh-oh, they're not that much older than I am. I guess Ricky had about 10 years on me, but, you know, when you get to be in your late 50s, 10 years doesn't seem so much. UL Washington, he also passed away this year, played 11 years. He was part of those great Kansas City Royal teams. Now, those great Kansas City Royal teams and the Yankees battled in the American League Championship Series in 1976, 1977, and 1978. And in all three of those years, the Yankees got the better of the Royals. In 1980, of course, the Royals got the better of the Yankees. I remember George Brett hitting that big home run off Goose Gossage. I remember George Brett hitting lots of home runs off Goose Gossage. And then I remember rooting for the Padres in 1984 in the World Series against the Tigers, and Kirk Gibson hitting a big home run off Rich Gossage. How about Kirk Gibson? Still alive. Gossage too, thankfully. But, you know, Gibson had a big home run against Gossage in 84, and then he had a bigger home run in the World Series against Dennis Eckersley in 1988. I don't know if we ever felt that Kirk Gibson was going to be a Hall of Famer, but boy, some players just have a few of those iconic moments. Something else I was thinking of the other day, I'm putting the finishing touches on a great Yankees book that should come out later this year, 2025. It'll come out through Artemisia Publishing. I'm just putting the finishing touches on the first draft and then sending it out to my proofreaders, my first-round proofreaders. Hopefully there'll be second-round proofreaders as well, but that's a lot to ask, someone to proof a book and then read the same thing again. Yikes. But anyway, I was thinking about how iconic Yogi Berra is and what an icon he is and what a huge player he is, or was, of course. There's that great documentary that his granddaughter Lindsay Berra made. I saw that about a year or so ago. Fascinating, phenomenal story. Yogi Berra, in addition to being a great player, was also involved in a lot of important baseball footage over the years, if you think about it. One of the most famous baseball films from the 50s is Jackie Robinson stealing home plate. And who's the catcher? Yogi. Another one of the most famous moments on film is Don Larson's perfect game. And who catches the last out? The catcher, Yogi. I mean, he was just present, sort of almost Forrest Gump-like. He was just present for so much. That finished the list of players. Now, as I mentioned last week, there's a list of pitchers. Bud Daly, I don't think we mentioned last week, a left-handed pitcher on the 61 Yankees. He passed away. what Baseball Reference does is it accumulates anybody who has any pitching stats and calls him a pitcher, and accumulates anybody who has any hitting stats and calls him a hitter. And so in the pre-DH seasons, or if a pitcher ever gets a chance to hit, he would appear on both lists. And on rare occasion, a guy like Rocky Colavito, a position player who pitched very briefly in blowout games for the Yankees in 1968. I think he had 2 appearances off the top of my head. But since he pitched in a major league game, he also gets listed as a pitcher. A number of managers passed away. Mike Cubbage, I remember him as a left-handed hitter. Mike Ferraro, who had been a Yankee infielder. Billy Gardner, I believe, had played for the Yankees. Whitey Herzog, Hall of Fame manager. And Jimmy Williams, who had managed the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, something is telling me off the back of my head, in the back of my mind, somewhere that Jimmy Williams had a relationship with the Yankees. Looking up his minor league stats right now. Did he ever play with the Yankee organization? No, that's his minor league. That was his minor league manager stuff. Let me see if I can find his major league playing career and then maybe go to the minor league stats. Something tells me that Jimmy Williams had a small relationship with the Yankees. He played for 2 seasons with the St. Louis Cardinals. Sometimes when you do these shows live, you think there's something true, and it just might not be true. Let me see. Last chance to see if Jimmy Williams had a relationship with the Yankees. Maybe he coached with them, but sadly, Jimmy Williams did pass away. Managing, batting, let's see. He played in the Red Sox organization, the Cardinal organization, the Reds organization, the Mets organization, and the Montreal Expos organization, and the Cincinnati Reds. See nothing about the Yankees, and I don't see anything about whether or not he coached. So I guess not. I still think I'm going to have to do some research on that. I think Jimmy Williams had a Yankee relationship. Well, those were some of the names that resonated the most and immediately with me as far as players who passed away in 2024. May they all rest in peace. May their families find peace and enjoy, actually, in remembering who those people were in their lives, not just as baseball players, but hopefully the positive things they did for the people they knew, their family, their friends, their communities. I'll be back again next week. Hopefully next week we will have more talk about some players the Yankees acquired. I'm still back and forth in my head about Luis Arraez. Quick note, remember that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing, a great independent publisher located in New Mexico, USA. They will be publishing my new Yankees book, and they also published a number of my other books, including Scattering the Ashes, From Compton to the Bronx, The Least Among Them, and 365.2. Hey, it's New Year's resolution time. If you need a little help making sure your resolution stays with you and you continue it all year, get a copy of 365.2. Have yourselves a wonderful day. God bless. Go do something nice. And I'll see you right here next Saturday, the 18th at 7 a.m.